welcome to all the new folks. So I think I think we have a lot of returning people, but it seems like every week we have someone or a few people new. So it's great that it seems as though there may be different interests for different people or schedules just work out. So that's awesome. Okay, so tonight I don't even know what episode this is. Maybe like episode 8, 9. Doesn't matter. So tonight's guest is Lori Ahrens from Edible Acres. And Lori's going to tell us all about organic farming and their farming experience, where to find them, how to support their business, and I don't know what else. So I guess I'll just turn it over to you, Lori.
So first off, thank you, Arden and Becky, for putting this all together and constantly supporting and promoting the local businesses in Thorndale. And yes, so welcome. I am the owner of Edible Acres. We have a 12-acre farm that is now ProCert certified organic. What did you do? So this is our farm here. We're on Purple Hill Road. We moved here just over 15 years ago with the plan to raise our 2 children in the country. We also knew we wanted to grow our own food, and we also wanted our kids to understand and know how to grow food. So when we moved here, this little space, this little square here represents our original garden. And even from that small amount, I actually did start the Thamesford Farmers Market. So you can grow quite a bit on a very small amount of land. This was our trial, and we were able to play with different varieties of different heirloom vegetables. From there, we are now growing vegetables on this big space here, as well as up here still is up. We actually have 2 tunnels up there. Can't really see it very well, but we've got 2 other tunnels right here, and we will be putting another tunnel in here. This area here is currently pasture for our pigs, and this plot here, as well as this whole section here, which is our neighbors, is where the sheep graze. So we kind of, when we moved, we knew we wanted to grow natural or organic, and some of the reasons why, a lot of it was environmental, as well as the pesticides and hormone thing was a big thing for us, keeping all the herbicides and pesticides off. At the time when we moved, I actually was working at the hospital, and there was a study that came out at that time that had been done, and it was actually showing that glyphosates were found in mother's breast milk. So that was I was quite shocked that they would actually go through the body that well, I guess, or easily, but knew that that was not going to be how I was growing. We also looked at nutrition as one of the reasons to grow organically. As you can see from this, I just cut this out. There's not a ton of vitamin and mineral differences at this point that they have seen between organic and conventional vegetables. The big difference is actually the antioxidant levels, and antioxidants are actually help support and protect the aging of cells. So that was another big reason. The other thing so when we first moved, we actually had, or shortly after we first moved here, we had a couple of goats and then a couple of sheep, nothing huge, but trying to figure out how we wanted to raise them was another thing we started looking at. And a lot of the research we had done kept bringing us back to organic, just having more nutrients in the actual meat. just as well as being easier on the environment. And then, so by this point, we were already growing, and we kind of started to get a lot of questions from customers about, are you organic? And we were growing using organic practices at this was probably about 5 years ago, but we weren't actually certified. And at that point, also legislation had changed, and I don't know if it's changed again, but it allowed any farmer to use the term organic. So consumers were starting to be confused, because even if you weren't growing organic, there was no penalty really for using that term. You had to have certification to say certified organic, which becomes a huge confusion, I think we found, for a lot of our customers, not knowing the difference and just trying to buy what they were actually looking for. So we decided at this point that it was time to apply for a certification. So we started that back in 2018. And it was around, I believe it was about September. So if we maybe waited till 2019, we could have maybe cut out a year of fees. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, so we had to pay our fees to apply. And then we got to realize how much documentation is involved. So you have to submit every seed order you place, as well as all their organic certification. If you do not buy organic seed, that is still allowed under the condition that you have sourced organic seed for that variety. If you can buy it, they expect you to buy it. If you can't find it, then that is the exception, but you also have to send them the list of where you've looked for every seed. You cannot use any genetically modified seed. You also have to send them your bed maps, amendment list, so everything you're going to add to the soil, as well as MSDS sheets for any product you use. I think the only thing we use that we have to send that in for is bleach, and that's just for cleaning our totes and our coolers. And then, so that documentation gets submitted every year, regardless, or as long as you're still dealing with ProCert. The following year, we had to again fill out the forms, pay the fees, and we had our first site visit from ProCert, where they look through your field, go through your seeds, basically be nosy to see if there's something you're hiding. And they also told us at that point we had to start keeping harvest records, so that for them kind of allows them to see that you're growing the way you're growing, and that the field, so your bed maps match your harvest records. Last year, we did that all again, and we finally received our certification. And then this year, we are actually about 2 weeks away from having to resubmit all of our paperwork and our payment, and we will have 2 visits this year. One will be scheduled, and one will just be a drop-in. And so here, this was my big award for all my hard work last year, my certification.
Congratulations, Lori.
Thanks. So this is a list, I think, complete. I did miss edamame. I realized that. So this is a list of everything that we grow. So our bed maps will show all these things, and it's just a spreadsheet we send in. So exactly what's growing where, and quite often we do get 2 plots in. So a lot of our vegetables we do start in trays and transplant. So this was taken probably about 3 weeks ago. I just transplanted this today. This is bok choy. This is lettuce, and this is a type of salad green, could be a mustard. So we will take all of these and put them into the ground, and they will look like this all in here. So this is a lettuce bed.
Make it sound easy.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of work. So each of our beds are 30 inches wide, and our walkways are usually about a tractor tire. If we're not transplanting, we do have a couple hand seeders. This is an Earthway. We also last year invested in a Jang, which is a lot more accurate. So we lose a lot. We don't like use as much seed to be pulled out, better spacing. We also use things like silage tarps. So this tarp here we'll put down for approximately 6 weeks, and that will kill everything underneath it and hopefully a good amount of seed, so that when we plant our germination, hopefully the goal is that the carrot seed comes up before the weed seed, which just makes weeding a whole lot easier. So this here is, again, you can see the silage tarps. This was probably about 2 weeks after the picture before, and these are peas. So we do those in a double row. We'll have irrigation, which isn't laid down yet, but it will be attached to this. This here is the main line. It'll be attached. And then about a month later, here they are. And here's our workers. I think Erica might be a part of this.
She is.
She might be watching. So this is a couple of our staff from a couple of years ago picking peas.
And a kitty.
Yes, and a kitty who's supposed to be doing mousing, which she's not. Slide here. So these are tunnels that I was mentioning earlier. So we have 4 of them up now. This year we'll have 2 with the cucumbers again. So we grow everything vertically in the tunnels and on one vine, which is really hard to see here. And we do try to interplant when we can for, these are nasturtiums. The scent seems to keep the cucumber beetles out of the house a little better. So this is the other crop we grow, which is tomatoes. This is a greenhouse that we just put up last year. So we will use this landscaping fabric if it's a first year, because it would have been a weedy mess if we didn't. So what we'll do with this plant here, this will be the main stem kind of growing here. And this will get pruned off, and this will get pruned off. And we've got little, like what strings will come down with, we've got little kind of hooks that attach, which just kind of hold everything going up. And then we can plant these every, it's either 18 or 24 inches apart. I can't remember. But we can get quite a lot in a very small space. And then this again is the drip tape. So we can just kind of press a button and we irrigate out of a pond, and it waters itself in a sense. So some of the other crops, these are actually, so these are turnips. They're called haikuri turnips. They're a salad variety of turnip. They come from Japan. They're a very short-term turnip. This is some of our lettuce that we grow. These 2 varieties will go into our salad mixes. These are our raspberries. This would have been a spring one. Our fall ones tend to be a good dinner for Japanese beetles, so we don't have too many leaves left. We do a lot of heirloom tomatoes. This one So this one I believe is either a Berkeley tie-dye or a Kellogg's breakfast. So they're nice big, the Berkeley tie-dye actually look tie-dye, so they're green and red. Kellogg's breakfast is a red one. These guys, these are Brad Atomics. They've got a really nice smoky, they're a smoky, real meaty flavor to them. So this here, if you don't go to farmers markets, you probably have never seen this. These are kohlrabi. You can eat the stems. You can saute them like you would Swiss chard. And then the ball part, you would actually peel, and you can eat it raw. Kind of has a turnip mixed with a cabbage flavor. This is a heirloom variety of zucchini we grow called Ron Denise. They're really nice for stuffing as if you would peppers. So you can either do it vegetarian or you could throw some meat in there, and they cook up really quick. They're about the size of a softball. So this picture is also a couple of years old. This room's kind of changed, but this, so we wash a lot of our salad greens in this tub here. And then my husband has converted an old washing machine with a crab bucket, I believe, and turned that into our salad spinner. So here's one of the tunnels that was put up 2 years ago. So we actually can roll the sides up to this height here, which allows for a lot better of airflow. And then this will have a door as big as it can this way, which we could fit a tractor in if we need to, but also again for airflow. And then we do have a shade cloth. So it's a black kind of net that goes over top of them. And we put that on the one that we don't have the sides that we can roll up, just to help keep the temperature down a bit. And so a few of the other things we have on the farm is the sheep, and we are actually currently lambing. I don't think we had any born today, but I wasn't in the barn today. And there are times, so we've got right now 4 or 5 sets of triplets. So one mom doesn't seem to have much of an udder and she's struggling to keep up. So we will bottle feed if we need to. We have lost one mom, I think. I think she had a prolapse, so we did have to bottle feed. That was Hank.
Not this year.
No, that was a few years ago. So we also have these little Cooney pigs. So they are a very small heritage breed that we got because I'm a sucker. From New Zealand is where they originate from. They just can graze on pasture. Their meat is quite fatty. But with these guys, all their vitamin D that we can consume actually is in their fat. So it is a healthier type of fat. But if you only have a few, it's hard to honestly eat them. We also have bees and a few fruit trees. So the beehives are in the orchard. These will be apple blossoms. And we've had a few swarms since we've put the beehives in. So this was actually probably one of our bigger swarms, and they're never low. So this one was as high as I think our ladder would go, but we were able to, so we'll cut off the branch, and it's not the most graceful process, but we are able to put them into a box, and then kind of, as long as you have the queen, the rest of the bees will follow. We also do grow shiitake and oyster mushrooms. So we buy this product here, which is a sawdust and spores. And then you can kind of see this grid pattern here. These are all the holes that Corey will drill in. We use either maple or oak logs that we harvest around February from our bush. And then you take and you fill this end of the plunger with this product here. You then put that in there and then cover all the holes with wax, which seals out all the other spores. And then, so we do that around April, May, and then the following year, this is what you end up getting. So these are all shiitakes growing, not necessarily out of the holes. They kind of just pop out of the sides of the log. And those we keep back in our bush. And so here's just a list of where you can get all of our products from. So we do have an online shop where we do delivery. You can also pick up. We have CSA shares as well as some markets. And we've got our store in St. Mary's opening up, I believe, the beginning of April, which is going to carry our products, as well as Social 31 in St. Mary's, which is the restaurant at the golf course. That's it. No. Does anybody have any questions?
You got a lot going on there, Lori.
Keeps us busy.
Yeah. So are you full-time farming now, like not at the hospital anymore?
Yeah, so I left that 5 years ago. And then, yeah, so Corey last year, I think around February, he kind of came back to the farm too. So we're both here full time. We actually just hired one full time today. That will stick with us probably till November or so. And then we'll have at least 2 more full time. So it's not a huge plot of land necessarily, but each of those beds, for the most part, we get 2 crops in. So like lettuce will come out and then something else will go in within 2 weeks. Those pea beds that I showed, they would have been brassicas. So any broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage would have gone in after that. So there's no time to rest.
All the farmers know this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tunnels also allow us to actually, so the reason we put up tunnels too was so that we can grow all winter. So we this year were able to grow lettuce all winter. We would have had it all winter had we not sold out.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, hence the 2 more tunnels.
Mm-hmm. All right. Does anyone have any questions?
How many pigs do you have now, Lori?
Too many?
No.
I believe we're at 38. Yes, and I think we have these 2 sows bred again, but that was because they can get through the fence if we're not staying on top of things. So they decide when they're ready. We are hoping to downsize a little bit of them this year. Just they take up a lot of time, and the vegetables are somewhere we would prefer to concentrate our time on too.
And I know you have chickens over there. How many chickens do you have now?
Yeah, we do have chickens for eggs. So I believe there are, I lost one of those yesterday, but I think we're around 30. So, and in the summer or in the wintertime, we don't add extra lighting. So we do really see a decrease in egg production, but we're back up again. We're over 2 dozen eggs a day. So they're almost at laying 1 a day.
Okay. Anyone else? Oh, go ahead.
Can you, like, and all the animals are not certified, right? But there are programs for organic, raising organic animals?
Yeah, so we chose not to certify the animals because you can never give them anything for medication wise. So we really struggled with that one, but I can't watch something suffer knowing that I could potentially intervene. Although since we decided not to, I don't think we've had any issues, and I don't think we've actually had to give anybody anything. But that was kind of why we chose not to. I do believe, I know our pasture is still certified. The other challenge too is finding certified organic hay for the winter. There is a local farmer who does have some, but he uses pig manure. And pig manure, because you have to feed, your pigs usually get a bit of copper in their feed, that's what they need. But if sheep get copper, they will die. So we haven't been able to source any organic hay. So that was kind of why we chose to not. So they're still out on pasture when they can. They're all locked inside right now just because we have a lot of babies. As I said, we've only had twins and triplets this year. So I think the last count I had 8 moms with over 20 babies. So it didn't take long.
And lots expecting.
I think we're,
So like, how long will this lambing season last?
so we have a young new ram, so that sometimes makes a difference too, if he's a little bit pokey. But this year's been pretty quick. So I've got a few that I can tell are pregnant that don't have any udders. So they'll at least be a few weeks. So we've got a couple more weeks at least, but.
What's the gestation period up for a lamb?
5 months.
Okay.
And the pigs are 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days.
Exactly.
Yes. I think, and it's usually 1 day either way. Like, it's pretty impressive.
That's amazing.
And he only gets 1 day to try too.
Lori, what do you have for sale right now on your website? What kind of vegetables do you have?
So greens are the big thing for us right now. So lots of salad, lots of spinach, arugula. That's all the fresh. Microgreens are fresh. We still have storage, potatoes, onions. Getting down on the beets, but there's some beets. There's still some carrots. Rutabagas and turnip. And I think that's it for our storage. And then we bring in certified organic fruit from Fennings. That's a farm in New Hamburg. It's not all theirs though. So we do have apples, pears, mangoes, a few things obviously you can't get here ever. And then if you know Patrick's Beans from London, we bring in his coffee and tea, and that's all certified organic. We also have, cheese from Great Lakes Goat Dairy over on Prospect Hill. And we brought in some certified organic wild rice from Northern Ontario a couple weeks ago. And that's actually selling. I'm gonna have to order that again next week. And then our meat as well.
What meat do you have?
So we have bacon. We do have quite a selection of pork. We just got that back the other day. So we've got bacon, smoked chops, hams. We have non-smoked chops as well, sausage, burger. We also have some Highland beef, which would be Corey's parents' beef. So that is also pasture raised. We've got that in ground, patties for burger season and stewing. And I don't think we have any lamb left. If we do, that's all there is until a couple months.
Do you have lamb sausages?
There might be one package left.
They're delicious, as is the bacon, just saying.
Lots of nods from Jimmy. Jimmy loves the bacon. Is that right?
No.
All right. Oh, do you want me to unmute you?
Ignore him. He's trying to embarrass me.
Oh. Okay.
No, I love lamb.
Oh,
Lamb sausages sounds good.
I see.
You'll have to get Erica to bring you some someday.
Yeah, she asked me to join here, won't let me talk. Seems I'm embarrassing her. I'm not embarrassing nobody. I love lamb. Go lamb.
Okay, so Erica, you did work at Edible Acres, or you still work with Lori and Corey?
I worked for the past 3 summers, but this year I'm probably gonna stay in the city where I go to school, just because
Yeah.
it's a little hard to go back and forth. But yeah, I have been there a few years.
Nice. That's great. And were you in charge of the cat that was supposed to be mousing?
Yeah, he's a distraction, but he's a cute one, so it's okay.
That's great. Lori, I was surprised, like all of the paperwork and reporting, like I'm sure like that's a shock for a lot of people, right?
Yes, it's the harvest one was actually probably our biggest shock. So every time you pull a carrot out of the ground, they want to know. They don't necessarily want to know how many. They want to know how much per weight, but it's still you have to document it. So I'm always probably a little better at it in the beginning of the season. But that's all part of the submission. So we've got a little better system set up this year where I've got every time anything goes in the cooler, you've got to write the weight down, just scales will be there. But yeah, that was probably our biggest because it's a lot of time. The rest of it we did anyways. I guess we also didn't realize, so if we use a couple products which are certified, like allowed, so we also have to ask for permission to do that. One of the products we use is called Surround, and it's a clay. But before we can use the clay, we have to document why we're using it. So if it was this bug or that bug or this disease. So they kind of take, we've got big calendars, so we're able to just, here you go. But so they just want to know that you're doing things for the right reasons. So there's always a reason behind it. Even when they stop by, like they stop by, obviously, you know, the first time they're getting all your paperwork and stuff. But they do stop and they wander. They go through your shop, they'll go through all your stuff. And if you've got a seed that came from a company that wasn't on the list, they want to know why. So I think that is also a good thing for customers to understand too, because then it makes us more accountable to them as well. Like they can see that there is the value in having that certification. They can then just rest easy knowing that it's all safe. But it is time.
At this time. What are some of the natural ways that you might, like if Japanese beetles are a problem and you can't do a spray or something that, someone else might use, like what are some of the natural things?
So Japanese beetles, we haven't figured out. You can use, I don't think any of those pictures, we use a lot of floating row cover and sandbags. So the cover is a real light white fabric we just roll over top. It has a few different benefits, but keeping the bugs out is one of them. The Surround that I talked about, this clay, it's supposed to make it really bitter. So that also is another product we do use. It also kind of helps with lettuce and sunburns as well, especially in the middle of the summer. We do a lot of companion planting too. So when I talked about my spreadsheets, here's one here, but these ones don't have very good, like I'd normally have, these are like beds that take a long time. But so the radishes will be first, then the lettuces, and then if I can fit something else in here, but we do constantly crop rotate. This is one bed, but then we also take this bed and we'll move it to another spot. So we would never have melons the same spot year after year because you're just asking for disease too. We also use a lot of things don't like onions and leeks. So anything that we're really concerned about, we'll put onions, leeks, garlic on either side to kind of hopefully deter things away. I also grow a certain kind of squash just for the bugs. So Hubbard squashes, if you find Hubbard squashes organic, then they've had a good year because that's generally where the bugs will go first. So we'll stick them in one area so that the squash beetles and the cucumber beetles will go there and hopefully leave everything else alone. Transplanting also helps a little bit because it gets you past that early stage where they're a little bit more fragile too. So once the plant gets a little bigger, for some things, they can tolerate having a bug chewing away at them. There'll be crops we lose. Like every year we try to have a good crop of early radishes, turnips. So everything that's in the greenhouse now will be great. We'll be direct seeding in the field probably as soon as we can. Sometimes that's in April. And 9 times out of 10, flea beetles will eat the whole crop in a day. And we'll try next year. That's just part of organic farming. Like there's some things we just can't win.
Right.
They need to eat too, I suppose.
That's nice of you to plant squash for somebody.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
Do you fight with slugs there as well?
We did have one year we did that landscape fabric, that black, real thick stuff that you can see with the yellow stripe really seems to help with slugs. We have also used diatomaceous earth for slugs. We did that before we did our certification. I don't know if that is allowed. We haven't used it for years. We do actually use it as well for our sheep. If they have worms, you just put a little bit out on their feed and it, like, the worms will be coming out the next day. So that's a good product for that. And it's, you can buy it at the Thorndale feed mill actually.
We get what are the bugs in the tomatoes?
Oh yeah, we also do get hornworms, but we've never found a way to deal with those other than
Pick 'em
sending
off.
Erica in to pick them off.
All right. Debbie, did you have a question?
Yes, I wondered, you've outlined, Lori, all the paperwork you have to do and all the weighing of produce and so on for the organic certification. I was just wondering if you would share with us kind of a ballpark figure, how much money that you have to pay every year to do this, like to the certified.
Once, yeah.
She's gonna give you the exact penny, I guess.
So this year, so we like to submit our quote, and then they like to come back with their own quote. So this year we are expecting about 1,300, but every year they seem to come back double. And I think they keep trying to tell us we're certifying. That's the pastures. We also didn't bother certifying the beehives because I think they're about $50 a beehive. Each greenhouse is approximately $150. So it's all kind of broken down to how much land and if it's a certain, like the greenhouse has its own fee, like, so you have to put in the square footage and then it's got its own percentage. So yeah, last year I know it came back double. So that's the fee for the paperwork. And then we also get a fee for them coming out to the farm as well. Last year it was a Zoom. So the fee was a lot less because I didn't have to pay for travel and all that.
and he only had 45 minutes because he didn't, so that kept it at a 45 minute. The year before though was, I believe, another $600 for that.
He was getting paid well.
So
Well, thank you, because I know it all costs money and it's good for us to know.
yeah, so
your
it's based
expense-
on acreage is the
Yeah.
big thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have baby alpacas right now?
No, a little early for babies, but we will not be having any unless there's some little surprise happens, but I don't think that happens.
Fingers crossed.
So Lori's going to be getting alpacas soon.
No. Not unless we can use that land beside us.
Right. Can you?
I was waiting for Glenn and Kathy to comment because
Oh.
they're here and that's their land.
Yeah, I know we've had a few pigs in there the last few days.
Oh,
I haven't even noticed.
well, guess we got some fencing to fix.
They're very cute.
Lori, can you explain to everyone what a CSA basket is?
Yep. So that stands for Community Supported Agriculture. So the theory behind it and how they started was it is a way for farmers to kind of get support now when we have all of our expenses for seed, and we just doubled our walk-in cooler, like putting up the greenhouse, all those different things, but it kind of gives then income when you don't really have a lot of product. And then in return, you get a share of the produce that comes off the farm. Because of COVID, we've kind of changed it up a bit this year because we had some people upset with just concerns about too many people in a building or touching their food or however it went. So this year, the way that we're gonna get people to order will be through the online store. So it'll all be pre-packaged. They can just walk in one at a time, grab their box or their bag, and hopefully that kind of makes that a little better. It's always a challenge. You never know what to expect. The other option for picking up a basket too, if you do want to pick out your basket, is you can come to the farmers markets. You would have a credit every week. So you don't have to worry about bringing cash. You just come to the table, you fill up your basket, just do the math, and then off you go. So yeah, it's kind of an older model. We've been doing it for about 4 years now, maybe the CSAs, maybe 5. So.
No, I know once the pandemic really hit, you started offering like more delivery, right? I would see posts about placing orders and time. Like, did you see a huge change in the amount of local support, or like what was the impact of the pandemic?
So our sales probably doubled at least with everything. We did the deliveries because we had just put up a greenhouse and put propane to it, and it was filled, and I had to figure out how to move the product. So we figured we'd start the online store, and then we got shut down by police at one market, which was a little bit, it eventually changed all around, but so we were trying to figure out how to get our stuff going. So yeah, the online store really, it took off, and it's still actually quite busy. For some people, they want to just be able to come pick it up. Like it's a way of, because we don't open in the winter at all. So they're still able to then get our product. They can pick it up here or they can pick it up at the market. Then they know too that they've got their salad greens every week because they've got their order in. We do, every time there's a lockdown or talking of a lockdown, the online store almost doubles. But then our market, because we are still doing a market in Stratford on Saturday morning. So that market does, you see a decrease in sales there. I would say it's pretty close to average. Like if one's higher, the other one's lower. It's kind of stayed that way all winter. But yeah, it's been, we know we can't go back. And we still, yeah, like we do deliveries both Friday and Saturdays. So.
Are you gonna tell us, like, the police shut you down? Like, because like getting food's not essential or something?
Because he was told that the mayor was getting complaints because it was considered an event. So
Like grocery shopping?
yes, and he did say that everyone could go to the grocery store if they needed food. There was no need for a market.
That's incredible support. Okay.
We do have, like, the rules for farmers market during this pandemic have been not at all like a grocery store, which has been really frustrating. Like, everything has to be prepackaged, but you can still go to the grocery store and pick your own apple off the shelf like that. But as a farmers market, we're not allowed to do that. So that's been a little bit infuriating too. And it can only be one way. It has to be monitored. It has to be counted, which I know it's supposed to be that way in the grocery stores, but they're not. I've never seen anyone policing it. And yeah, like, there's a lot more records that our market managers have to do. And so it's cost the markets. I'm also a member of the St. Mary's Farmers Market Board, and our expenses were quite a lot more because you've got more staff needing to be there from open to close and setting up barriers. And so it's been a bit more of a challenge, but we're at least still able to give people access to local food, which is good.
It's good. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Maybe it's me.
Jimmy, do you have a question? Okay. Eric is ashamed. Oh, he's frozen.
Okay. Well, I guess if, oh, Jen says the microgreens are awesome. There you go. Perfect.
Thanks, Jen.
Nobody.
Okay, so if no one has any questions, then I guess we can wrap things up. Lori, I just want to say thank you to you and your daughter for preparing everything. I think this is great to share so much behind the scenes and help inform us what's really happening when something says it's organic and all the extra hoops you have to jump through. Especially like the whole bit with the farmers market. It's so surprising, but anyway, I guess people are learning too, right?
Yeah.
So, so thank you for
Thank
supporting
you.
I Love Thorndale and being part of this. Next week is our last Local Skills Academy, and then the following week we will do our draw, like I said, for the Easter raffle. So all of that is on our website, and next week I guess we're still not letting the cat out of the bag yet, Arden. Just it's our big announcement. More details to come. Hopefully we have everything we can share next Wednesday. So I think that's all for now, and there's still a little bit of daylight outside, so we can all hop outside to get a little fresh air. Jen, did you have something you wanted to say? Or Judy? Just saying hi. Okay. All righty. Well, I think that's it for tonight then, and we'll see everyone in a week. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Lori.